Good afternoon. This is John Laney, and I am coming to you from my home office here in Clarkston, Washington, where I've just been kind of digging through some things from the past here, and I wanted to share with you my testimony because I was reminded by this. Look at this red state-issued Bible, issued by the state of Washington. There's a note right here in the front of this Bible given to me on March 13th, 1988 by my friend Charles. And he says in this, "May the Lord be with you, friend. Keep praying. Don't get discouraged. I hope this Bible helps you." I want to let you know that this Bible is part of a miracle, okay? It was March 13th, 1988, obviously, okay? I was in jail in Clarkston, Washington. I was due to be transported to California the next day, where I would go back into the California penal system to face a parole violation. I had a lab, a methamphetamine lab in a house, in a garage in a house up on Mount Hood outside of Portland, Oregon. I had absconded my parole. I had been on the run for quite some time, and I had been manufacturing meth, making plenty of money and having a wild life and all these other things. And I had met my wife, and we had ended up getting married in her Uncle Glenn's church. While I was in jail, awaiting my transportation, Joni's aunt sent me a letter, and in the letter she said, "There's one thing left for you to do, was to surrender to the Lord Jesus Christ." So I thought, she's right. I got on my knees. I said, "Lord, I give up." A couple weeks passed by. After that, I didn't, as I waited to be transported, I really wondered what the heck I was doing, what all this surrendering to Jesus was all about. Well, on that night, March 13th, 1988, my friend Charles came into the little cell. He was the trustee. He brought me 2 green plastic cups with coffee in it and this little Bible right here. And when he left the cell, I picked this little Bible up and I read this note. And when I read this note, I didn't finish this note. The power of God fell on me. And I want you to know that I was raised a Methodist. I had never seen anybody fall under the power of God or anything like that. So I had no idea what was happening to me. All I knew, it felt like there was honey poured over me that was warm, and it felt like there was volts of electricity streaming through my body, and I began to tremble at first, and then I began to shake violently. And as I shook so violently, I fell over in the floor. And I laid on the floor thinking, am I having a heart attack? And then I concluded that no, it couldn't be a heart attack because it felt so good. And I laid there for maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour, I have no idea. And when I got up, every part of my being wanted to become a different person. Okay? And I want to tell you right now, there is nothing too hard for the Lord. Because God took me out of an impossible situation. He took a criminal, somebody who would run and do all these things. I had a terrible trail of just bad things behind me. But God took me, and He changed my life in an instant. Okay, and it took me. I'm still renewing my mind and still working with my thought processes and everything. But God, in an instant of time, He changed my life, okay? And He changed my perspective. So do I believe that when a person becomes saved, that all things are new? Yes, I absolutely believe. And I want to tell you right now that God can cause all things to become new for you also, okay? Now, when this was happening, when I recovered from this little incident here, I called the jailer. And I said, "Can I have a phone call?" And he came down, and I heard the keys rattle, and he opened the door, let me out. And I walked down the hall to the payphone, and I called my wife at her parents' house, collect. And I said, "You won't believe what happened to me." And she said, no, you won't believe what happened to me. A friend of hers had come and taken her to church. And they went over to Faith Tabernacle Church in Lewiston, Idaho, and Ray Tucker was preaching. And he was preaching from the book of Job, a message called The Path of Wisdom. I have the tape, and it's dated the same date, you know. But anyway, he stopped in the middle of his message, looked at my wife and said, you're married, aren't you? And she began to weep. And he said to her, things look like they're completely out of control, but God is in control, and He is going to take your husband and save him in a way that you will know he is saved, and He's going to use you both for the glory of God. And I want to tell you that while he was speaking those words, God was doing the work. I was on the floor at that very minute, and I want to tell you, I got up a different person, okay? So if you have a family member and things look like they're out of control, I want to tell you right now, God can do a work. Just put some faith towards it, okay? Send me an email. Send me a message. I'll pray with you, and we'll believe for a miracle for your family. Thank you so much for listening, and God bless you. Thank you.